First of all, I'm really grateful that I'm getting the award in the category of ministry, because ever since I graduated from St. Joseph's Academy, my life has been about ministry. And it's really, like I graduated in September, in May, and I entered the convent in September. We did that back in those days. And so I feel that my life at St. Joseph's Academy was a great preparation for my life as a religious, as a teacher, as an international person. It just was everything I could have hoped it would be. Actually, when I graduated from St. Joe's Academy, I saw myself back there teaching English someday. And in fact, I've been everywhere but there. So I'd like to say that we were 172 who graduated in 1965. And I can't speak for all of us, but kind of generally, I would think that we received a pretty good foundation, a firm foundation, in fact, in religious values, in civic values, a great academic preparation. And we received a lot of help with regard to self-actualization. I think this is because the sisters and the lay teachers we had, they were our mentors and our friends. And so St. Joseph's Academy was not just a learning environment, it was a place where we could grow and try out things. We learned more than chemistry and algebra and French and Spanish. We learned about the world, even though this was in the late 60s. And so things we didn't have the kind of opportunities that high school students have nowadays. Nevertheless, in that little bitty St. Joseph's Academy, which was small, even with the addition, once the addition was built, we had teachers who, I'll speak for myself. I had teachers who gave me a big world. For example, there was Jeanette Miller, who taught history. She barely left her desk. She taught from behind the desk, seldom moved outside of it, and yet she gave a picture of the world and its history, its leaders, its importance, just way beyond the limits of that small classroom. Another sister who expanded my world was Sister Adelith. Now, she was already older. She could hardly walk. And yet, this was the time of Vatican Council II, and Sister Adelith was totally enamored with Vatican II, and she made sure that we heard about it a lot. This was mind-expanding and colored my vision of the church and its relation to the world ever after. We had biology with Sister Louise Gerard, and it was the time of teaching students by way of scientific investigation and the DNA and the double helix and all this. Our books weren't even hardback. They were just paperback, which is kind of the norm now. But in those days, biology books were big, heavy textbooks, and ours were not. And Sister Louise Gerard was so well-versed and so enthused about this way of teaching about life sciences that it made a lasting impression on me. We had Sister Paul Joseph, who was able to mix chemistry, physics, sodality, which she moderated, and basketball. And if she didn't catch us in one of these areas, she caught us in another. And they are just a few of the many teachers we had who sort of loved us into being, I think. They were our mentors and our teachers, but in many respects, they were also our friends. They led us from that small space, to me, it's sort of symbolized by the gym. We had a gym that wasn't even the size of a basketball court, and it had a tin ceiling. And yet, The gym teachers of my time, Mrs. Niles and Mrs. Scoville, taught us about health and teamwork and just about life in that little bitty space. So all of these people, all of these experiences, of course, experiences with classmates, clubs and classes and activities were very informative. And to me, this illustrates all the more that we were a kind of community that was a nurturing community and a fun one. And I want to add also that something about my life at St. Joe's, that since its foundation in 1896, over 170 St. Joseph Academy graduates have entered the Sisters of St. Joseph of Carondelet. Now, not all of them stayed, and I don't know how many entered other communities because they did. The first graduate entered Carondelet in 1907. Today, we're about 20 of us. And still, whenever we have a community assembly or a chapter, we find ourselves getting together. We seek each other out and talk about our memories of the academy, the teachers we had, the times that were, and the women that we have become. And I myself am just grateful for everything there and everyone that led me to see a big world. So not teaching English at St. Joseph's Academy, but ending up in 3 different countries. A global person, I think, that got my start through that good foundation I had at St. Joe's, where the world was just big. We had a healthy environment in which to grow, to try out our wings, to speak up, speak out, and we were prepared, I think, to lead and create and serve. And I just have so many memories to build on when I come to that conclusion that that's where I really got my start. And it's funny because when I told my parents that I was going to enter the convent, my dad, who isn't Catholic, not that that matters, said, well, he thought maybe I was going to be stuck in Negaunee, Michigan or something for the rest of my life. And from the day I flew out of St. Joe's, I've been everywhere and well equipped to handle whatever I chose to do and whatever I was asked to do. I never lived any place I didn't like. I was never asked to do anything I couldn't do or didn't want to try. And gosh, a lot of it stems from those years. I treasure my education at St. Joseph's Academy, and I'll always remember it, and a lot of the people who were part of it.